July 1st. As a reminder, this is a public meeting, so those and it's being recorded, so those in the audience, if you can mute your devices, would be greatly appreciated. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we look ahead to Independence Day this Friday, let's come together to celebrate the spirit of freedom, unity, and resilience that defines both our nation and our Franklin County community. The 4th of July is a time to honor the sacrifices made for independence and to reflect on the shared values that guide us toward a brighter, more inclusive future. The Franklin County Board of Commissioners is proud to stand with our neighbors in celebration and remains deeply committed to building a community rooted in justice, opportunity, and belonging for all. In observance of the holiday, county offices will be closed on Friday. We wish everyone a safe, joyful, and meaningful Independence Day. In July is National Minority Mental Health Month, a time to shine a light on mental health challenges that too often go unseen or unspoken in our racially and ethnically diverse communities. As we come together to celebrate Independence Day, we are also reminded that freedom also means every person has access to compassionate, culturally responsive mental health care, free from stigma and barriers. Together, we will keep working to ensure that every Franklin County resident has the opportunity to thrive in mind, body, and spirit. All right. If I could get approval of the minutes for the May 22nd, May 29th, June 5th, and June 12th, 2025 briefing sessions, and the May 27th, June 3rd, June 10th, and June 17th, 2025 general session.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
First, we have Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board.
Resolution number 50425. Resolution declaring it necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and requesting the auditor to certify the total current tax valuation of the county and the dollar amount of revenue generated by the tax levy for the support of mental health and substance abuse treatment and prevention services for children and adults.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Telerik, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, and I'm also a member of the Human Services Levy Review Committee. After a thorough analysis of the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health, or ADAMH levy request, the committee is recommending that the board place a 10-year, 2.85 mil renewal levy with a 0.5 mil increase on the November 4th, 2025 ballot for consideration. The levy would commence in 2026 and first be collected in calendar year 2027. The recommended tax would be $68.91 per year for an owner-occupied homeowner for every $100,000 valuation. This amount includes an increase of $17.50 per year. However, the amount is lower than the $82.61 per 100,000 of valuation when the previous levy was approved in 2020. The committee is recommending an increase so that ADAMH will be able to fully fund core provider services and the new crisis care center. Although this increase will help to mitigate the impact of projected funding cuts, the levy cannot fully supplant the loss of other revenue. A copy of the committee's detailed report that supports the recommendation was sent to each of your offices on June 12th. With the successful passage of the levy at the ballot, ADAMH would be able to maintain mental health and substance use disorder services for children and adults in Franklin County. The resolution presented today declares it necessary to levy a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and requests the certification from the county auditor. This is the first of two resolutions that are required before the commissioners may consider placing the issue on the ballot for the November 4th, 2025 general election. I'll turn it over to CEO Erica Clark-Jones to say a few words from ADAMH.
Good morning. Thank you. President Crawley, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, County Administrator Wilson, thank you for the opportunity this morning. The ADAMH team stands before you today thanks to the leadership of Zach Telerik and the Franklin County Office of Management and Budget and the leadership of the Human Services Levy Review Committee. We're grateful for the comprehensive process that led us to this crucial hearing. We are here to consider placing a 10-year, 2.85 mil levy with a 0.5 mil increase on this November's general election ballot. This isn't just a request. It is a critical investment in the well-being of our entire community. Our current levy, expiring in December 2026, fuels over 75% of AdamH's budget, and these funds are the lifeblood for services delivered by over 50 community-based behavioral health providers across Franklin County, from Westerville to Obetz, Dublin to Whitehall. This November is our window to secure voter support. This levy is essential to sustain vital mental health and addiction services for every Franklin County resident, regardless of their ability to pay. It also guarantees a stable funding base for the Franklin County Crisis Care Center, fulfilling the promise we made to voters in 2020. The center will be a beacon of hope for all adults facing mental health or addiction crisis. The proposed 0.5 mil increase is a modest ask, but has an immeasurable impact. It translates to $1.46 per month for every $100,000 of home valuation. We meticulously and repeatedly modeled several options to craft a responsible proposal that balances community needs with taxpayer considerations. We understand the headwinds surrounding property taxes and voter concerns about rising costs. This proposal strikes a balance. Since our initial recommendation in February, the landscape has become even more challenging. Uncertainty, it lies with the future of Medicaid and other state and federal funding streams. The prevalence of mental illness and substance use disorder was already escalating before the pandemic, and it is a trend that the pandemic has only accelerated. 1 in 4 Franklin County adults will grapple with mental illness this year, and this statistic is not abstract. It affects our neighbors, our colleagues, our teachers, and even members of our own family. While Franklin County's growth is a blessing, it also means more residents will require AdamH-funded services over the next decade. Our suicide and overdose death rates reveal a stark need. While Franklin County's suicide rate is increasing, deaths are particularly increasing for teens, older adults, and males, whose suicide rate is 5 times higher than female residents. Overdose death rates are slightly down, but they are still at historic highs, exceeding the state average. Currently, over 70% of mental health and addiction crises funnel individuals into hospital emergency departments. This strains our healthcare system, reduces hospital capacity, and inflates wait times and costs for all emergency services. The Franklin County Crisis Care Center, opening in just a few weeks, will be a game changer for our community. It will be the central preferred destination for adults experiencing mental health or addiction crisis. When individuals with behavioral health needs land in an emergency department instead of a specialized program, they face longer wait times, extended hospital stays, a higher likelihood of involuntary admission to inpatient care, and a greater chance of repeat crisis episodes. The Crisis Center will empower our first responders with a no wrong door philosophy, reducing their drop-off time by hours and offering a viable alternative to arrest when not legally mandated. The Crisis Care Center is not a standalone solution. It is a cornerstone of comprehensive community-based crisis care continuum expanded by our previous AdamH levy resources. This continuum ensures there will always be someone to call. And since the passage of our last levy, we have supported the implementation of 988, the behavioral health alternative to 911. It also ensures there is someone to come. Again, since our last levy passage, we've deployed mobile crisis response teams with peers and clinicians responding together with law enforcement when required. And since the last levy, we have also instituted Somewhere to Go, our innovative crisis care center located on the west side of Columbus, rooted in compassionate care. This center requires sustained support to operate. And while the 2020 levy aimed to fully fund it, urgent pandemic needs prevented that additional funding at that time. A levy renewal without the requested increase would force AdamH to reduce and eliminate vital services almost immediately. The Crisis Care Center would not be able to bring all planned services online, including inpatient care and a 20-person observation unit. With looming federal funding cuts and likely Medicaid reduction service cuts would be even more drastic. Potential reductions include mental health and substance use prevention services for schools in schools for all children across the entire county. A reduction in vocational programming for adults with behavioral health challenges. A reduction in funding for behavioral health supported housing. A reduction in support for clients entangled in the criminal justice system in part due to their illness. And a reduction in services and supports for families of adults living with severe and persistent mental illness. Some of our critical behavioral health nonprofit agencies are already struggling as federal pandemic relief is ending and the operational costs soar. Reduced AdamH funding would push these agencies to the brink. These are not easy choices, especially with community need remaining so profound. Franklin County has a proud history of ensuring accessible, affordable behavioral health care for all, regardless of an individual's insurance status or their ability to pay. With the requested increase, this levy will provide the stable funding base to deliver on the promise of the Franklin County Crisis Care Center, and it will also fund a robust network of community behavioral health providers that work in concert with the Crisis Center and provide a spectrum of critical services, including treatment, prevention, recovery, housing, and family supports. Support for this AdamH levy is a foundational investment in our community's social safety net. It provides tangible value to public safety, to hospitals, to schools, to social service partners, and most importantly, it profoundly helps our families. These levy funds ensure individuals with behavioral health challenges receive the most appropriate care, are stabilized in the community, and ultimately live more productive and healthier lives. It offers a degree of certainty in these uncertain times, guaranteeing a local funding stream to maintain our behavioral health safety net. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak before you this morning. The AdamH leadership team welcomes your questions, and with me this morning, I have Mr. Anthony Perry, our Chief Financial Officer, who helped lead and guide us in this work and worked alongside Zach Telerik, Mr. Jonathan Thomas, our Chief Operating Officer and the project lead for the Franklin County Crisis Care Center, Ms. Allison Waters, who is our Senior Director of Finance, and she keeps the trains running on time, and Ms. Monica Sarazuela, Senior Director of Government Affairs and Special Initiatives. We thank you in advance.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation, CEO Clark Jones. I will open it up to to my colleagues first for comments or questions.
Wasn't quite ready, but let's see here. All right. First of all, thanks so much, Ms. Clark Jones, for the presentation. I think a couple of things I wanted to add that should be mentioned. One, you brought, when we were during the pandemic, we had proposed a levy and voluntarily pulled that levy submission down of the actual request you needed in order to come back. And I just want to recognize that because that was kind of being a team player, if you will, for the moment and the time. And I think we need to, just as a community, embrace that should count for something, is what I'm saying. And so I want to make sure that's clear, and you might just give a little more detail about that, a little more color on that if you like, at some point. But so that should be in consideration. The second part is the Crisis Center. I just want to focus on that for a second and make sure the public really understands what we're doing here. We've created an institution that really is going to change the landscape. I was thinking of various scenarios over the years when someone, the young people call it crashing out these days, when someone's having a crash out moment or crisis moment, where they would have to go. And I remember the sort of heightened days when NetCare was kind of the main sort of place to take someone that was in a crisis situation. And it was kind of one way to deal with people who were in crisis. And I'm not diminishing what NetCare did or anything like that. I don't want to give that impression. But it was not a soft landing. I hope that isn't inappropriate the way I'm saying that. And walking through the new crisis center, I'm very hopeful that there's a soft landing for people who are in crisis. Oftentimes, they're surrounded by law enforcement, restraint, and perhaps the abrasiveness of the system that I would say amplifies the crisis situation. Here, I believe that you've created a very compassionate, soft landing that is designed to accommodate the need as opposed to responding to the crisis. And that may sound simple or jargony, if you will, but if you've ever had a loved one in that situation, it can be the difference to, as you stated, a greater chance of repeat episode, the wait time because the staff are engaged in dealing with this. And one thing you didn't mention that I will, and I've seen it, where the law enforcement generally has to stay there. When they're in the hospital, take them to the emergency room, law enforcement, and it may take all night to assess them, like into the days. And so those are officers that could be out on the street doing other things. And so there's so many domino effects to this. I've never been one to argue, especially at this dais, for a levy, and that's not what I'm doing now. Our action today is placing it on the ballot. It's as simple as that, and the public will have the opportunity to weigh in on this. But here is a case where you mentioned growth in Central Ohio. Here is a case where, because we delayed the levy, we're in a position where we've got to do something now. But B, we have this new crisis center as a facilitator of that alternate pathway and care. And so, and I believe that ultimately that is a cheaper route than the emergency room and the system that's set up now. And I don't have the numbers to make that case. I'm sure you all do that in your campaign. And so I wanted to point that out. And then there's one other point I was going to make. The cost. You mentioned it was $1.46 per month for $1.46 per $100,000 for home. And so I was thinking about, well, what's $1.46? What could you buy for $1.46? I would have said a cup of coffee, but you can't even get a cup of coffee for $1.46 today. And so you might get a half a cup of coffee, maybe if you're lucky. And so the cost, well, I'm never a fan of raising taxes, ever.
I don't know where you're buying coffee.
It's not
I don't know
even
where you're
that
buying
cheap. Yeah,
coffee.
right. I know. You
My
talk about
kids
it.
don't buy coffee for $1.46. That's for sure.
Right. But the point is, it's a relatively good return on your investment. And I'm sure you all can show everyone the numbers of how that plays out. Haven't done that math in front of me, but I think it's important. Anyways, I just want to make those points, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I might. We have a lot of conversations around here. Commissioner Boyce and I, for certain, and Commissioner Crowley and I as well. Over time, we've had a lot of conversations about levies. Administrator Wilson and I have had many conversations about levies. You and I have had conversations about this levy for some time. And these aren't easy conversations. And we've been having this conversation about this particular levy throughout the entirety of this, the life of the pandemic, because of the effect of the pandemic on this particular topic. We've had conversations at this dais, and we've had conversations throughout, just throughout the entire time because of the effects of the pandemic on mental health and the community's mental health. And we've had conversations with our colleagues throughout the state and throughout the country about the effects of the pandemic on mental health and mental health crisis. And I've spoken to members of our levy review committee about this particular levy, and as Commissioner Boyce has pointed out, we've delayed and we've pushed this levy, and so here we are. We finally are here this morning to have this conversation and to take this vote. And so this is a long-awaited, long debated, long thought-out process. And you've done a considerable amount of work, not only with your board on this topic, but with your board on the Crisis Center, and we've traveled a long way. And so we really appreciate all that you've done, all that you guys have considered, all that you've debated, and we've traveled a long road to get here this morning. And so the community should know that there has been a lot of consideration to get to where we are. And a lot of people have put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. So, we are finally here. And so thank you for everything that you've done.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I have one more question, too. I asked if you would paint the picture if the levy doesn't pass, what happens? What happens with the Crisis Center? What happens with our Adam H. services, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes. Thank you for the question, Commissioner Boyce, Madam President, Commissioners Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, members of the audience. We think there are consequences of not passing this levy, and there are certainly consequences for us not coming to the community and asking for additional support. At this time, while we did mention the Crisis Center, we built it in its maximum capacity and fully funded. We will have 60 units of observation. It will run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have 16 units of inpatient care. Without the passage of this levy, the observation unit is reduced by a third, and we can only see 40 people at that time, and the inpatient unit does not open. So we need the increase to make the Franklin County Crisis Center fully functional. That, of course, will also translate into bad outcomes in the emergency departments, longer wait times, and challenges for our first responder community. Additionally, if we do not pass the levy, we know one of the first things, there are a suite of services, and we talked about this in the Human Services Levy Review Committee. We are facing headwinds as Adam H. boards across the state, especially when it comes to state cuts as well as federal cuts to Medicaid. There will be more individuals likely that they have work requirements and just barriers to even getting services. But when they do, you must know that prevention services for children in every Franklin County school district that Adam H. provides would be reduced. The vocational programming for adults that have behavioral health challenges, helping them get back to work and stay at work, the funding for those programs would be significantly reduced. The funding for housing, there are individuals in our community. Adam H. supports over 2,000 housing units in Franklin County, all across the county, for individuals that live with severe and persistent mental illness. The support for those individuals to remain in housing would be reduced, as well as individuals that unfortunately encounter the criminal justice system lots of times as a result of their mental illness and are either in jail or have to spend a longer time in our state hospitals. The funds to give them treatment while they are in temporarily held would also be reduced, as well as our services and supports for families that have individuals in their family with severe and persistent mental illness. All of those services would be reduced in the event this levy is not passed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, CEO Clark Jones. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for, being willing to be the team player in 2020, understanding what was going on with the pandemic and everything that went with that. But even now, as Zach, or Director Telerik mentioned, that this increase isn't even what you originally asked for even now. And if you could just talk about how you came to the number, or the Levy Review Committee came to the number that we have right now versus what the original ask was, and balancing the needs of the community, but understanding the economic environment that we also live in.
Thank you for the question. For the response, I'm going to ask our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Anthony Perry, to come forward and describe how we got here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Crawley. Our original proposal was for a renewal plus a .75 mil increase. So we went through a number of scenarios and planned out the next 10 years and tried to put forward a proposal that would fund all services that we considered to be important for the community. We did work with the Human Service Levy Review Committee and OMB, and we're supportive of the final recommendation, which is a renewal plus a .5 mil increase. So it is a difference. There are some reductions. There's an expectation of, finding some savings and looking at all opportunities to reduce costs. So we think it does a good job of balancing the needs, fully funding the crisis center, supporting the existing providers and clients, but is also reducing the burden on taxpayers to the greatest extent possible.
Thank you. And I appreciate you, you all answering, coming this morning, answering some of the questions that I had on Thursday when we briefed, like what was the reduction in you mentioned 20% in services. Thank you for walking us through that. How have the recent trends in substance abuse and mental health really influenced the services that you will continue or even try to, expand?
Absolutely. The demand for services is great. Just recently, our team, and every so often, every 5 years or so, we do a community needs assessment. And we published our last community needs assessment just a few months ago. And what we've seen is across Franklin County is anxiety and depression still continue to remain high, and challenges with opioids and alcohol remain a top concern. One of the other concerns was that individuals want services, always have a challenge with trying to find those services, and then have concerns about, can they afford the services? That came through loud and clear. So while they may seek treatment, once they are encouraged to do so and seek treatment, find a provider, they are worried about cost. And it is helpful, and of course, if they have an insurance status that might be tentative, it is helpful to have an Adam H. levy in place that will make sure that you get the treatment while we're sorting out whatever your insurance issues are, but you are not denied care as a result of that. And so while the trends are concerning, more young people, more individuals in the African American and Latino community are dying of overdoses than ever before. More individuals are dying of suicide in those same groups. More men are dying of suicide, 5 times more than women in our community. The need is great. While we work hard every day, we think the implementation of 988 and our mobile crisis response will help to address those needs, and certainly the connections that are made at the Crisis Care Center. In the event an individual is in crisis, we certainly want to catch them before they take another drastic step. We think this will go a long way to make sure an individual has the support that they need to work through their life challenges and the challenges of their diagnoses. The Crisis Center will not only address mental health challenges, but also substance use disorder challenges. So it will be helpful on both fronts. And then the crisis care continuum that surrounds, that's a part of, what the center is a part of, will also be very helpful. These are the supports that all have been implemented since the passage of our last levy. It was that conversation that Commissioner Boyce and you and Commissioner O'Grady referenced. We sat down long and hard and wanted to respond to these trends prior to the pandemic. We asked for a 1.08 mil levy increase. Back then, we had not had an increase in 29 years. And the Human Services Levy Review Committee at that time, because it was the pandemic, we literally were meeting during the month of March 2020 and April 2020. And by that first week of May, they came back and said, we recognize you have a need. We want to see the crisis care continuum built out. But at this time, it would be unwise because we do not know the future. And they asked us to do a 0.65 mil increase instead. So that's a significant difference. At the time, we on faith said we will absolutely do what this community requires and learn more between now and 5 years later when it's time to go back to the voters, and that's what you have here today.
Thank you. And just one final question. Can you talk about since you referenced the community needs assessment
Yeah.
and, listening to the community and where they prioritize or want prioritized services and supports, can you talk about community engagement for this, or what steps you're going to take to really get the community support between now and November, should this pass today?
Certainly. At Adam H., we never take the community for granted. We believe that we actually are committed to getting input from our residents all along the way and from our stakeholders, and that will not change for the levy campaign. We certainly plan to pull together a community advisory group represented by families, by our providers that are out there on the front line, by teachers, by practitioners, social service agencies, all that say this is really, really important. So we do plan to have a levy Friends of Adam H. group, essentially, that will come out and be able to talk with any group that wants to discuss this further. The last time we did a levy campaign, we did it all via Zoom. It was all virtual, and we Zoomed into Rotary meetings and area commission meetings to talk about the levy. So we're always willing to engage. We will have a website. We certainly will have a social media presence, but we want to make sure we're having everyday conversations with seniors, with parents, with folks that are in NAMI. Anybody that has someone in their family that's living with a mental illness uses NAMI for support, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And we have our local NAMI chapter that's full of families. We want to engage them every step of the way to make sure we're listening to the voters and we are taking those things into consideration and making sure everybody has the education they need to understand the levy and understand the impacts of this levy ask.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any other questions.
Oh, is it me? All right. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of Resolution 504-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 504-25 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 505-25, resolution declaring it necessary to levy a renewal tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation and requesting the auditor to certify the total current tax valuation of the county and the dollar amount of revenue generated by the tax levy for the provision and maintenance of zoological park services and facilities to residents of the county.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This resolution is also the first of two that is required to put the renewal of the levy to support the Columbus Zoo on the November 4th, 2025 ballot. The requested 10-year renewal levy includes no increase, and the recommended tax would be maintained at $11.20 per year for an owner-occupied homeowner for every $100,000 of valuation. The levy would commence in tax year 25 and first be collected in calendar year 2026. With us today to say a few words is Tom Schmid, President and CEO of the Columbus Zoo.
Well, good morning and greetings, Franklin County Commissioners, Commissioner Boyce, President Crawley, Commissioner O'Grady, the professional staff of Franklin County. My name is Tom Schmid, President and CEO of the Columbus Zoo. And I also wanted just to recognize and again thank President Clark Jones. We had an opportunity to visit early in my tenure, and just understanding the needs in this community, mental health, particularly with youth. I hope there's more opportunities that we can partner in the future. I think we know the profound impact that getting kids connected with nature and getting kids connected with animals can have on their mental health. So we look forward to continuing to build a relationship with your organization. I've got some of my team members here, and I'd like to introduce them now. Teresa McIntyre is our VP of Legal Affairs and our General Counsel. Brian Harmon is our Senior VP of External Affairs, and Angel Muma, our Senior VP of Finance. And I'll begin with gratitude and thank all of you for your support and guidance during my nearly 4 years as the leader of this institution. We've had many thoughtful conversations regarding the zoo and our place in the community, and I continue to learn from each of you and appreciate each of you, and I appreciate certainly the opportunity to be with you all this morning. The last 4 years have been eventful for our organization, to say the least. As all of you are keenly aware, after a leadership failure at our by our former administrators came to light, our professional staff and board worked together to transform our approach to spending, procurement, and financial accountability. We've implemented new whistleblower policies, tightened our credit card and reimbursement rules, and placed clear boundaries on executive authority regarding contracts and spending approvals. We've added layers of internal review, instituted dozens of new financial policies, procedures, and controls. Our ethics hotline, monitored by both staff and board, ensures accountability from the inside out. We've merged our 2 governing boards into one more focused and engaged board, and we've reinforced term limits and elevated the work of our committees. We've also ensured that board members and executive staff have undergone new training, including through the Ohio Attorney General Charitable University Program. Through transparency and vastly improved communication, we've raised employee engagement, boosted morale, and more importantly, we've begun to rebuild trust. We've invested in security, accessibility, and infrastructure upgrades, and we've begun the laborious task of tackling years of deferred maintenance. And we've focused on our mission, providing exceptional care for animals, unforgettable experiences for our guests, and more impactful conservation work here in Ohio and around the world. And to that end, in 2023, following the development of a new strategic plan, we embarked on one of the most ambitious master planning efforts in our nearly 100-year history. What has emerged is our 2040 framework and a comprehensive plan that encompasses all 4 of our parks, properties, aiming to transform both the guest and the animal experience. New and improved animal habitats at the zoo and the wilds with a greater focus on animal well-being and conservation form a major pillar. We're creating new experiences and attractions with a strong focus of year-round visitation, as well as improvements and upgrades to Zambezi Bay Water Park, Safari Golf Club, and the wilds. New transportation systems will facilitate movement of guests around the zoo, and the construction of the new Columbus Center for Wildlife Conservation will round out this plan. We will invest hundreds of millions of dollars in privately raised funds over the next 10 to 15 years to transform our campus. Our institution has been fortunate to have the support of Franklin County voters over the last several decades, and it's one of the key reasons that this institution has grown from a small, municipally run zoo to one of the largest and best zoos in the nation. And we know Franklin County residents are proud of their zoo. They understand and appreciate the profound educational impacts that our team produces for students and teachers, and they so value the memories they create with their families, learning about animals, experiencing wildlife, and enjoying the wide variety of programming that we offer. And while not our mission, our economic impact of the zoo in our community is equally profound, exceeding hundreds of millions of dollars annually and supporting thousands of local jobs. Levy funds that we receive from Franklin County help support daily operations of the zoo, specifically animal care and well-being and our veterinary health program. Our animal diets alone, at nearly $2.2 million, represent one of the largest line items in our budget. And with 2 baby elephants on the way and 2 orphan brown bear cubs that now are new residents of the zoo, that budget is only going up. These funds support the repair and maintenance of our facilities, our life support systems, and our award-winning educational programming. Over 100,000 students participate in a wide variety of zoo programming each year. The levy also helps keep our admission price and membership pricing as low as possible, helping to ensure access for all. And to that end, we work with dozens of partners, including Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Columbus Urban League, Gladden Community House, and many others. And we now welcome tens of thousands of guests each year through our Community Access Complimentary Day Pass program. At any Columbus City school where at least half the students receive free lunch, all of those students in the school receive free passes to come to the zoo every year. And we continue our partnership with CODA, whereby the zoo charters a bus to transport guests from multiple locations in Columbus to the zoo every day during the summer, along with a deeply discounted day pass. In addition, for families who would like to frequent the zoo often, we have our deeply discounted Discover Family membership for families that utilize Ohio Direction, EBT, or SNAP programs. With this levy proposal, there is no increase in taxes for Franklin County homeowners and businesses. In terms of the impact on Franklin County homeowners, the cost is estimated at just over $11 per 100,000 property valuation. And in this day and age, though, we must plan for every contingency. If this levy were to fail, one thing that would not change is our animal care and our animal well-being program. It's our #1 priority after the safety of our staff and guests. However, all of our community access programmings would be in jeopardy, as would our extensive educational programming, outreach efforts, and the many other programs that I mentioned earlier. So on behalf of the 6,000 animals and nearly 2,000 employees and over 500 volunteers and docents that make up the Columbus Zoo family, we ask for your support of this levy, and myself and my team are happy to answer any questions. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be with you this morning.
Thank you, Tom. Good to see you. Thank you for your leadership. I will open it up to my colleagues first for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll go first. Tom, thanks so much for the presentation today. I want to be clear, once again, to the public that this is your opportunity. Our action here today simply places this consideration on the ballot and allows you, within the public, to weigh in on whether or not this is a worthy tax expense or levy expense in that way. And so again, this is one of those components that kind of define our community. They define every community. Anything that drives an economic engine or has an impact on economics is one of those things that deserve the type of consideration that's before you today as a resident of this great community. And so that's what the action will do today. Mr. Schmidt, I do want to say, I mean, you came in at a time when there was an element of chaos in the administration of the zoo, but we've been fortunate through the leadership of your board and of your team to be able to weather that storm, by all accounts, to ensure that the public has confidence, once again, in the stewardship of the funds that have been entrusted to the zoo. And that's the most important part here. While you have been engaged with this Board of Commissioners, now it's time to engage the public fully and make sure that they understand the pathway that you've taken to protect their resources and provide them with a zoological experience that is meaningful, has depth, and helps to define Central Ohio. And so I'll be supporting this to go on the ballot for the consideration of the public today. But the one thing I want to plant the seed of, I know we haven't had this discussion in a very, very long time, but that's a deeper relationship with Delaware County. You know, we talked about in briefing that this is a very unique scenario in that the zoo is actually in Delaware County. It's not in Franklin County. And yet Franklin County residents are levied. And it's by design, it's in statute, and so it was created a long time ago to exist this way. But that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve conversation even today. And I still am a believer that there is a shared relationship there, the opportunity for some version of a shared relationship, because it is the cornerstone of zoological experience in this region. And we need to be mindful of that, and it's everybody's responsibility. And so I'll just plant that seed. That's for another day, of course, but Again, Madam President, I'm going to be supporting this to go on the ballot to give the public the opportunity to weigh in. And I want to congratulate and thank the administration of the zoo and the board. We went through a lot to get to where we are today. And for what the public may not see, read the newspaper articles and see the news, a lot goes on behind the scenes, and we're definitely in the trenches to correct what was a challenge at the time. And I feel like we've come out of the storm, and now it's our job to ensure that the public understands that as detailed as we do, and has the same type of confidence that we have. And so this is that moment. And so.
Thank you.
Madam President. Tom, as you well know, I know the details of the operations of the zoo better than anyone, and I will apologize. I will have to abstain today because my wife is an appointee of the zoo, but I'm certain that the measure will pass and that we'll be putting this on the ballot. But being a member of the board, I do know, or my wife being a member of the board, I do know in great detail all of the inner workings of what goes on. But I appreciate you coming today, not only to present what you've presented, but the fact that you led with all of the details of what happened when you first arrived, or the reason why you first arrived here, and that you laid all of that out for us and for the community. This board, we were the ones who we demanded that all of this become public at the time that it all happened. The board that existed at the time was debating whether or not it should become public, and we demanded that it did become public. And we demanded, one of the things that we demanded was one of the things that you made happen, which was to go from two boards to one and consolidate. Those were all important things, and you understood that, and we appreciate that. We really appreciate all the work that you've undertaken to bring us to where we are today. It's been a long road, and the fact that you came here today and presented all of that at the beginning of your comments is important, because this community really needs to be. This is the first time you've gone on the ballot since all of this has happened, and I'm very confident that you'll be very successful, at the ballot box this fall. But you have to be transparent, and so being transparent this morning is also a part of that, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the work that you and your team have undertaken since you've been here. It's been a long, hard road, but important. And so thank you for all of that as well.
President Schmidt, I would just say that, I appreciate you mentioning building trust and the work that you've done, building trust with the Board of Commissioners, rebuilding trust with the community at large. I know that, shout out to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office worked closely with the commissioners and also with you and your board members to make some changes that we thought was necessary in building trust and rebuilding trust. So thank you for your willingness to have hard conversations and to make adjustments and pivot. I appreciate you laying out, how the zoo is operating, the resources that you're putting into your educational programs, the levy supports, to your comments, the daily operations, vet health, and diet, and how expensive that is just alone. But more importantly, making sure that the zoo remains accessible with a low admissions fee or admissions price, and that matters. We know that the educational programs are not just working with school districts, but just educating the community on how valuable the zoo is, what you all are trying to do with conservation, and how you're seen as a go-to, like you have the orphan bears. It's a testament to the zoo that we have, the value and the asset that we have. So I would just ask the same question that I asked CEO Clark Jones, like what steps do you plan to take to engage the community to get community support, even though it's just a renewal?
Yeah, so we think it's very important to continue to educate the community about the importance of the zoo and the benefits that the zoo provides Central Ohio and particularly Franklin County. And so we've set up a group of individuals that are helping us on a volunteer basis. We're working on our outreach efforts. These efforts really, they started when I arrived, so we're largely continuing all the community outreach that we continue to do, not only inviting people to the zoo, but sending our teams out to community houses and schools and nursing homes and groups all over Franklin County and Central Ohio to share the message and engage with animals and talk about our mission. So all that work continues, but we also have a significant outreach program that we're going to prepare to launch this summer to again educate our voters about the benefits to the zoo, the reality that this is a straight renewal with no tax increase, and more importantly, what the zoo means to them, how it will continue to really help educate our kids, our students, our teachers, our families about education and the environment, that remind them of the amazing opportunities that they can build at the zoo, and also showcase a lot of our conservation efforts and our mission work, as well as sharing some of the exciting developments that are coming out of our future, none of which will be paid for the levy, but still having a strong institution, a strong foundation to help support those fundraising efforts. So essentially, we're leveraging our dollars from our Franklin County residents to go out and raise even more money to create an even better zoo and experience for guests and our animals.
Thank you for that. I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of Resolution 505-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Abstain.
Resolution number 505-25 has been adopted with Commissioner O'Grady's noted abstention.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have the drainage engineer.
Resolution number 506-25, resolution approving a ditch maintenance petition for Woodland Preserve, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Soulis, Government Affairs Liaison. I'm clearing the room out. I'm so sorry about that. This is interesting.
That's not the
for
first
me,
time,
but-
Nick, that's happened to you. Come on now.
Drainage.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Nick Soulis on behalf of County Engineer Adam Fowler and also County Drainage Engineer. This first resolution, Commissioners, will approve the ditch maintenance petition for Woodland Preserve, which is located, it's a new subdivision located in northeast Franklin County and Jefferson Township. By approving this resolution, we will be able to ensure the ongoing maintenance of the drainage system within the subdivision. So pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 506-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 506-25 has been adopted. Resolution number 507-25, Compass Infrastructure Group Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer by providing preliminary and detailed engineering design services for the Hayes Road and Richardson Road Inspection Improvement Project, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $438,037.
Commissioners, Hayes at Richardson Road is currently a two-way stop-controlled intersection, which we are looking to improve to a single-lane modern roundabout. Compass Infrastructure Group is a local engineering firm. It's a WBE firm, and they were selected utilizing ODOT's qualifications-based criteria process. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 507-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 507-25 has been adopted. Resolution number 508-25, Trans Systems Corporation of Ohio Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer by providing preliminary engineering design services for the Morris Road from Johnstown Road, US 62 to Reynoldsburg, New Albany Improvement Project, Plain Township and Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $762,885.
Commissioners, Trans Systems Corporation of Ohio is a local engineering firm and was selected utilizing the engineer's qualifications-based process. They will be assisting us with preliminary drawings for Morse Road corridor project running from Johnstown Road to Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road. We're seeking to improve vehicular and pedestrian safety along that corridor. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 508-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 50825 has been adopted. Resolution number 50925, resolution accepting the annual ditch maintenance report of the Franklin County Engineer.
Commissioners, annually, the Franklin County Engineer is required to inspect all petition ditches within the county and to report back to the county commissioners the condition of the petition ditches as well as an estimate of the amount of funds that will be necessary in the upcoming year to maintain those petition ditches. Attached to the resolution is the report from the Franklin County Engineer outlining the conditions as well as the estimated expenses. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 509-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 50925 has been adopted. Resolution number 51025, approval of the Woodland Reserve subdivision plat, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, this resolution is related to the first resolution from the drainage engineer. This is the last legislative step in the process of establishing a subdivision. Approval of the plat will enable the developer to go ahead and start selling off the lots and developing the property, or the subdivision. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 510-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 51025 has been adopted. Resolution number 51125, report second of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the North Hague Avenue Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project, Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $6,613.
Commissioners, the North Hague Avenue Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project is a project of the sanitary engineer. We have been assisting the sanitary engineer in acquiring easements in order for the project to be completed. This resolution would award compensation to a property owner, a single property owner within the project area in the acquisition of an easement. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, moves for adoption of 511-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 51125 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
You too. Next up, we have Veteran Services.
Resolution number 51225, resolution authorizing a transfer of general fund appropriations for the support of the medical transportation program.
Good morning, Commissioners, and all the attendees of the meeting. I just want to say real quickly, Nick, I've been told sometimes I brighten up a room by leaving it, so I certainly understand what you just experienced. Today we're having a discussion on veteran medical transportation, and in some cases, this is medical transportation for their widows and widowers. While our number of veterans served in this program has remained steady over the last 3 years compared to the average, the number of trips per veteran has slightly increased, about 10% over that same time frame. But the real change has been the cost per trip. The cost per trip has practically doubled over the last 4 years. Now, we encourage alternatives when it makes sense for the veteran. We have a gas card program when the veteran still has a level of independence and they can drive themselves, or they have someone that they'd like to drive them. We encourage bus tickets and the use of the bus when it's convenient for the veteran. It makes sense for their medical appointment or care. But this is an important program to us. I would add finally that we have submitted our 2026 budget request already with the current execution data and the cost per trip as our basis. And I want to just thank the OMB director and your team for the continued analytical support and conversation as we work to support our veterans here in Franklin County. I look forward to your comments and hope for your support of this resolution.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 512-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 51225 has been adopted.
Thank you. Child support.
Resolution number 51325, resolution authorizing a 4D contract with Powers Investigations Incorporated to serve as the agency's process server in the amount of $232,585.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Administration. Susan Brown, Director representing the Child Support Agency. This resolution requests your consideration in approving a one-year 4D contract with Powers Investigation Incorporated beginning July 1st, 2025. Competitive bids were received and opened by the Purchasing Department on May 21st, 2025. Powers was the lowest and best bidder. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse the process servers for expenses associated with providing personal service of process on residents for administrative and judicial hearings when required or when mail service fails. This contract aligns with the Rise Together Blueprint for Reducing Poverty in Franklin County, goals number 12 and 13. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this contract.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 513-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 51325 has been adopted.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. You
Thanks.
too. Community partnerships.
Resolution number 51425, resolution authorizing one-year grant extensions to 14 nonprofits related to the Community Partnerships Grant Program in the amount of $3,352,953.19.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Brittany Hilliard, Community Partnership Coordinator. Our first resolution authorizes grant agreement extension with 14 nonprofits awarded in 2023. This is the second of the two one-year grant extension. The awarded grants align with numerous goals outlined in the Rise Together Blueprint and have shown excellent in their service areas, enhancing services across Franklin County. If there are no comments or questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 514-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 51425 has been adopted. Resolution number 51525, resolution authorizing a one-year grant extension with the Ohio Women's Alliance related to the Community Partnerships Grant Program in the amount of $259,700.
Our second resolution authorizes a grant agreement with Ohio Women's Alliance. This is the second of a two one-year grant extension related to their community partnership grant awarded in 2023. The awarded grantee aligns with numerous goals outlined in the Rise Together Blueprint and have shown excellence in their service area. If there are no comments or questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 515-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Abstain.
Resolution number 51525 has been adopted with Commissioner Crawley's noted abstention. Resolution number 51625, resolution authorizing one-year grant extensions to 22 nonprofits related to the Community Partnerships Grant Program in the amount of $3,740,145.
Our third resolution authorizes a grant agreement extension with 22 selected nonprofits awarded in 2024. This is the first of their two one-year grant extensions. The awarded grantees align with numerous goals outlined in the Rise Together Blueprint and has shown excellent in their service areas, enhancing services across Franklin County. If there are no comments or questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 516-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 51625 has been adopted.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Next up, economic development and planning.
Resolution number 51725, resolution authorizing an amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Service and Funding Agreement between the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and the Community Housing Network to provide housing retention services for at-risk, low-income Franklin County residents to prevent homelessness in the amount of $175,750.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Administration. Walter Dillard, Assistant Director for Economic Development and Planning. The Franklin County Board of Commissioners approved Resolution Number 0989-21 on December 14, 2021, authorizing a funding agreement in the amount of $60,000 in Community Development Block Grant funds to the Community Housing Network for the purpose of providing homelessness prevention services in Franklin County. The original contract term for performance was July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Community Housing Network requested an amendment to the original time of performance to reflect July 1, 2021 through December 31, 2023. Furthermore, an amendment to the funding amount is being requested. The amendment will now reflect an additional $115,750 in CDBG funds for a total not to exceed the amount of $175,750. Pending any questions, we will respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 517-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 51725 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 51825, resolution authorizing a sub-grant award agreement with Franklin County Court of Common Pleas General Division, supporting the Justice for All Youth Summer Camp Initiative under the FY 2022 Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $25,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melissa Pearson, Interim Director with the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Commissioners, the annual Justice for All Summer Youth Camp, hosted by Judge Jasa Page and the Common Pleas Court, offers an intensive one-week experience for up to 75 local middle school and high school youth to be introduced to the legal system. The camp is taught by local judges and legal practitioners and culminates in mock trial teams conducting mock trials throughout the courthouse. This year, students created videos on the Bill of Rights, including legal topics such as search and seizure and freedom of speech. Funding in the amount of $25,000 through the FY 2022 Justice Assistance Grant will help to offset the costs of the camp for the 75 youth, including transportation, camp counselors, and camp operational supplies. This sub-grant supports Goal 9 of the Rise Together Blueprint for Reducing Poverty, and pending any questions, I would ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 518-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 51825 has been adopted.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next up, purchasing.
Resolution number 51925, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $8,531,927.74.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing. This resolution requests your approval of 89 purchase orders. The county auditor has pre-certified available funding, and pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 519-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 51925 has been adopted. Resolution number 52025, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $139,875.
Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 3 purchase orders. The county auditor has again pre-certified available funding, and pending any questions, pardon me, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 52025.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Abstain.
Resolution number 52025 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 52125, resolution approving the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue bonds, Series 2025 Boundless Healthcare Center Project of the County of Franklin, Ohio, in an original aggregate principal amount not to exceed $8,250,000, and consenting to and approving the execution and delivery of a lease, sublease, assignment, bond purchase agreements, and tax agreement in connection with the issuance of such bonds.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Aubrey Searcy. I'm a bond attorney with the law firm of Dinsmore and Scholl, and this resolution provides applicable elected representative approval to the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue bonds Series 2025 for the Boundless Healthcare Center project of the County of Franklin, Ohio. This proposed bond issuance was approved by the Franklin County Hospital Commission at its June 25th meeting, following a public hearing that was held to give members of the public opportunity to provide comment on the issuance of the bonds. These bonds are being issued for the benefit of Boundless Healthcare Facilities, Boundless Strategic Resources, I Am Boundless Incorporated, and the Boundless Foundation for the purpose of constructing healthcare facilities for providing care for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. These bonds are not an obligation or indebtedness of the county, and no taxes or funds of the county are being pledged for the repayment of the bonds. The bonds are solely the obligation of the borrower, Boundless Strategic Resources, I Am Boundless, Inc., and the Boundless Foundation. I'm happy to answer any further questions you may have on the project, and I'm also joined today by the CFO of Boundless Strategic Resources if you have questions on the project.
Where is it located?
In Worthington, Ohio.
Thank you. If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 52125.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Abstain.
Resolution number 52125 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention.
Thank you.
Resolution number 52225, resolution appointing Lauren Rummel to the Franklin County Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. County Administration, Melissa Kohler, Assistant Director of Community Appointments. This resolution will appoint Lauren Rummel to the Franklin County Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board to a 4-year term that will expire June 30th, 2029. Pending any questions, we respectfully request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 522-25.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 52225 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any journalizations?
We do. We have two. Case number ANX-21-25, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, ANX-21-25, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on June 18th, 2025. The petition is requesting to annex 3.0 acres from Franklin and Norwich Townships to the City of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on July 29th, 2025. The sites are as follows: 3531 Trayview Road, PID number 140-000570, North Hague Avenue rear, 140-003938, and Trayview Road right-of-way. Finally, the document presented to each of you today have been submitted to your offices via email and are being journalized as required under their respective resolutions. Resolution number 39224, intergovernmental agreements. Resolution number 91624, county administrator to execute access right-of-way, use agreements, and estoppel certificates. Resolution number 91824, no-cost amendment. Resolution number 91924, subscriptions and leases with $40,000 limit. Resolution number 34824, lien release agreements. The clerk's office has been tracking each of these items signed by the county administrator under these authorities as required by resolution. The list provided to you will be captured in today's meeting minutes.
Thank you. Next, Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 52325, resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purpose of considering personnel matters.
I moved, pardon me, I move to convene into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution number 52325 has been adopted to convene into executive session.
Are we doing it here?
It's up.